You're still awake, not because you're alert, but because I've been carrying too much for too long. I am tired in a way sleep alone hasn't fixed yet. The body kept going long after it needed to stop, and now it doesn't know how to release itself. This isn't restlessness. It's the weight of holding yourself together for too long. Nothing is wrong with you for being here. I am already safe in this state. I am allowed to rest without fixing myself. There will be a point later where something quietly loosens on its own, without effort, without focus, without you doing anything. You don't need to look for that moment. It arrives when the system stops checking. Right now, the body is still running old signals. Muscle tone hasn't fully powered down. Internal pressure stays slightly elevated, as if something still needs attention. Breath is already moving on its own. Not deep, not shallow, just present. Air comes in without invitation and leaves without being pushed. That movement doesn't need guidance. It has done this before. With each pass, carbon levels balance themselves and the chest settles without commentary. The nervous system begins to register that nothing new is being asked of it. No demand, no response required. Signals that were holding tension start to dim. Not all at once is less than #0. One hash is greater than just enough. Thought may still flicker at the edges, fragments without direction. They don't need finishing. They don't need sorting. As they lose momentum, the forehead softens slightly. Jaw pressure reduces without notice. The body interprets this as permission and lowers its internal volume a fraction more. Breath continues. In, barely registered. Out, longer, even, unforced. That extended release tells the vagal pathways that vigilance is no longer useful. Heart rhythm responds quietly. Intervals smooth without counting. Blood pressure stabilizes in the background without drawing awareness forward. Nothing here requires effort. Even listening can loosen. Sound arrives, passes through, and leaves without being held. There may be a sense that something should happen next. That expectation can fade. The system doesn't need a sequence right now. It only needs continuity. Another breath cycle completes itself. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, the shoulders drop a millimeter, not enough to notice, but enough to register. Neural activity in the planning centers begins to thin. Signals don't connect as strongly. Future-oriented threads lose structure and dissolve before forming language. This is where monitoring usually tries to return. It doesn't need to. The body already knows how to continue without supervision. Breath keeps moving. In, faint. Out, long, steady. Each release reinforces the same message. No action is required. Muscle tone in the legs evens out. Hands rest without readiness. The spine receives support without checking for it. Thoughts that attempt to organize fail to assemble. They arrive incomplete. Without structure, they pass through a sensation instead of content. Internal space feels less crowded, not empty, just less demanding. Attention no longer needs a center. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. That familiarity signals safety at a biological level, well below conscious awareness. There is nothing you need to remember from this moment. Nothing to hold on to. The system is already shifting toward a quieter mode, and it will continue without direction. Later, something deeper will settle in. I am safe to remain in this state all night. I am supported even while I sleep. For now, it's enough that the body has begun to stand down. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even, unchanged. And with that, regulation maintains itself quietly. The system is already quieter than before. Not because something happened, but because nothing interfered. There is less need to track what's occurring. Awareness loosens its grip without disappearing. It spreads just enough to stop focusing on any single signal. Breath continues as background movement. In, soft, unremarkable. Out, longer, settling. That lengthening keeps reinforcing the same instruction at the brainstem. Stand down. Internal pressure levels shift again, slightly lower. The body reads this as confirmation. Nothing is escalating. Nothing needs intervention. Muscle tone releases another layer, not collapsing, just no longer held. Support carries the weight without negotiation. Thought activity thins further, not silence, just fewer connections forming. Fragments lose sequence and fall away before completion. The forehead smooths, eyes remain still behind closed lids. Neural signals that once scanned for relevance begin to misfire less often. Breath moves again. In, barely registered. Out, extended, even. With each release, carbon balance improves, quietly supporting deeper parasympathetic dominance. Heart rhythm responds without emphasis. Intervals soften. No sharp transitions. No urgency. Awareness no longer needs to hold a position. There is no center to maintain. It drifts without direction, without noticing that it's drifting. Any remaining sense of effort becomes unnecessary. The body does not require permission to continue this way. It recognizes the pattern. Breath passes again, out, long, familiar. That familiarity reduces internal checking even further. Signals from the outer senses dim slightly. Sound becomes less distinct. Edges blur without imagery, just reduced signal clarity. Thoughts that try to form words lose traction. Language does not assemble. Meaning dissolves before it can attach. The body registers this as safety, not emotional, physiological, the kind that doesn't need reassurance. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, longer, slower. Baroreceptors stabilize pressure without awareness. The neck releases subtly. Jaw remains unclenched. Hands stay open without intention. Time does not need to be tracked. Sequence loses relevance. The system no longer measures progress. Another breath cycle completes itself. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, internal monitoring fades another degree. There is no need to follow these words closely. They can pass through like breath does. Heard, then gone. The nervous system maintains this level of quiet without additional input. It knows how to stay here. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even. Regulation holds itself steady, and nothing pulls it back. The system is already quieter than before, not because something happened, but because nothing interfered. There is less need to track what's occurring. Awareness loosens its grip without disappearing. It spreads just enough to stop focusing on any single signal. Breath continues as background movement. In, soft, unremarkable. Out, longer, settling. That lengthening keeps reinforcing the same instruction at the brainstem. Stand down. Internal pressure levels shift again, slightly lower. The body reads this as confirmation. Nothing is escalating. Nothing needs intervention. Muscle tone releases another layer. Not collapsing, just no longer held. Support carries the weight without negotiation. Thought activity thins further. Not silence, just fewer connections forming. Fragments lose sequence and fall away before completion. The forehead smooths. Eyes remain still behind closed lids. Neural signals that once scanned for relevance begin to misfire less often. Breath moves again. In, barely registered. Out, extended, even. With each release, carbon balance improves, quietly supporting deeper parasympathetic dominance. Heart rhythm responds without emphasis. Intervals soften. No sharp transitions. No urgency. Awareness no longer needs to hold a position. There is no center to maintain. It drifts without direction, without noticing that it's drifting. Any remaining sense of effort becomes unnecessary. The body does not require permission to continue this way. It recognizes the pattern. Breath passes again. Out, long, familiar. That familiarity reduces internal checking even further. Signals from the outer senses dim slightly. Sound becomes less distinct. Edges blur without imagery, just reduced signal clarity. Thoughts that try to form words lose traction. Language does not assemble. Meaning dissolves before it can attach. The body registers this as safety. I am safe at a physiological level. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, longer, slower. Baroreceptors stabilize pressure without awareness. The neck releases subtly. Jaw remains unclenched. Hands stay open without intention. Time does not need to be tracked. Sequence loses relevance. The system no longer measures progress. Another breath cycle completes itself. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, internal monitoring fades another degree. There is no need to follow these words closely. They can pass through like breath does. Heard, then gone. The nervous system maintains this level of quiet. I am safe to remain here through the night. It knows how to stay here. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even. Regulation holds itself steady, and nothing pulls it back. The system no longer signals for adjustment. It has found a level where nothing stands out enough to respond to. Awareness stays diffuse, not focused, not withdrawn. It remains present without orientation. Breath continues as a steady background function. In, faint, automatic. Out, longer, smooth. That extended release keeps reinforcing parasympathetic dominance without effort. Internal signals lose sharpness. Sensation no longer separates into categories. Everything arrives at the same low intensity. The body interprets this as deep safety. I am safe at a biological level. Thought activity becomes less frequent. When it appears, it lacks continuity. Fragments do not connect. They dissolve before forming direction. Neural circuits responsible for planning and evaluation quiet further. There is nothing to assess, nothing to prepare for. Breath moves again. In, barely registered. Out, extended, even. With each exhale, baroflex responses stabilize pressure deeper in the system. Muscle tone remains low and neutral. No holding. No collapse. Just steady support without engagement. Sound flattens further. Words lose shape as they pass through. Meaning does not assemble. Awareness does not track the passage of breath anymore. It doesn't follow. Breath simply happens. Any residual sense of self-monitoring fades. There is no internal observer checking progress. The system no longer measures depth. Breath continues. In, soft, is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than unremarkable. Out, long, familiar. That familiarity reinforces the same quiet loop again and again. I am safe to remain in this pattern all night. Internal temperature regulation smooths. Peripheral circulation remains steady. Nothing spikes. Nothing drops. Thoughts that try to form language lose access to structure. Words do not complete. Syntax never arrives. The space behind the eyes stays still. No scanning. No tracking. Just low activity without focus. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, the nervous system sinks further into automatic regulation. There is no longer a sense of sequence. No before. No after. Only continuation without reference. Awareness does not resist this. It does not engage with it either. It simply remains diffuse and uninvested. Muscle tone in the neck and jaw stays released. No readiness returns. The body holds itself without instruction. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, longer, steady. Each cycle quietly deepens the same physiological pattern. Internal sensation arrives without edges. Nothing separates into parts. Everything blends into a single, low-demand field. Cognitive activity slips further into fog. Not confusion, absence of clarity. Details no longer register as distinct. The nervous system stops anticipating input. No alert remains. This absence allows deeper descent without effort. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. With it, even the sense of listening loosens. Nothing here needs to be remembered. Nothing needs to be maintained. The system continues on its own. Awareness stays present without location. There is no center to return to. No boundary to hold. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, even. Physiological quiet maintains itself without variation. The system remains settled without needing reinforcement. It no longer checks for change. This level has become familiar enough to stay. Awareness drifts further from detail, not moving away, just no longer distinguishing. Everything arrives at the same reduced intensity. Breath continues quietly beneath notice. In, soft, automatic. Out, longer, even. That extended release keeps the same regulatory loop intact. Internal signals blend more completely now. Edges fade. Contrast dissolves. There is no single sensation asking for priority. Thought activity has thinned into fog. Not drifting thoughts, unformed activity. Nothing completes long enough to be named. Neural firing in the frontal region slows. Connections weaken before they stabilize. Planning no longer assembles. Breath passes again. Out is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than extended, unchanged. With it, the body confirms that this depth is sustainable. Muscle tone remains low and neutral. No readiness. No collapse. Support carries everything without reference. The sense of listening softens. Words arrive without weight. They pass through without being held in memory. Awareness does not attempt to follow them. It stays diffuse. There is no center forming. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, smooth. Carbon balance stabilizes deeper in the system, reinforcing parasympathetic dominance. Internal timing loses relevance. Sequence does not matter. There is no expectation of what comes next. Thoughts that appear lack ownership. They are not attached to a thinker. They dissolve before identity can engage. The nervous system reads this as safety without context. No story. No explanation. Just reduced demand across all channels. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. Each repetition reinforces the same quiet state. I am safe to remain in this state through the night. Awareness becomes less personal. Not gone, just less defined. There is less sense of me tracking anything. Internal sensations arrive as a single field. No separation into parts. No label attaches. Sound flattens further. Volume feels distant. Meaning does not assemble. Breath continues. In, barely registered. Out, longer, steady. With each cycle, monitoring drops another fraction. The body no longer anticipates instruction. No alert remains in reserve. Everything needed is already present. Thought loses its sense of origin. There is no starting point. No conclusion forms. This absence of structure allows deeper settling. Nothing resists. Nothing guides. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. The system remains exactly where it is. Awareness stays without position. There is no edge to soften, no boundary to cross. Any remaining sense of effort dissolves. Even the idea of effort no longer organizes. The body continues without commentary. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, even. Regulation holds itself steady. Identity remains quiet. I am safe even while identity rests. Nothing needs to be held together right now. The nervous system rests inside this pattern. No deviation. No urgency. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. With it, the descent deepens without notice. There is no reference point to return to. No direction required. Only continuation without demand. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, steady. Physiological quiet maintains itself, is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than, unchanged. The system remains settled without needing reinforcement. It no longer checks for change. This level has become familiar enough to stay. Awareness drifts further from detail. Not moving away, just no longer distinguishing. Everything arrives at the same reduced intensity. Breath continues quietly beneath notice. In, soft, automatic. Out, longer, even. That extended release keeps the same regulatory loop intact. Internal signals blend more completely now. Edges fade. Contrast dissolves. There is no single sensation asking for priority. Thought activity has thinned into fog. Not drifting thoughts. Unformed activity. Nothing completes long enough to be named. Neural firing in the frontal regions slows. Connections weaken before they stabilize. Planning no longer assembles. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, the body confirms that this depth is sustainable. Muscle tone remains low and neutral. No readiness. No collapse. Support carries everything without reference. The sense of listening softens. Words arrive without weight. They pass through without being held in memory. Awareness does not attempt to follow them. It stays diffuse. There is no center forming. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, smooth. Carbon balance stabilizes deeper in the system, is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than, reinforcing parasympathetic dominance. Internal timing loses relevance. Sequence does not matter. There is no expectation of what comes next. Thoughts that appear lack ownership. They are not attached to a thinker. They dissolve before identity can engage. The nervous system reads this as safety without context. No story. No explanation. Just reduced demand across all channels. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. Each repetition reinforces the same quiet state. This state is safe to continue through the night. Awareness becomes less personal. Not gone, just less defined. There is less sense of me tracking anything. Internal sensations arrive as a single field. No separation into parts. No label attaches. Sound flattens further. Volume feels distant. Meaning does not assemble. Breath continues. In, barely registered. Out, longer, steady. With each cycle, monitoring drops another fraction. The body no longer anticipates instruction. No alert remains in reserve. Everything needed is already present. Thought loses its sense of origin. There is no starting point. No conclusion forms. This absence of structure allows deeper settling. Nothing resists. Nothing guides. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. The system remains exactly where it is. Awareness stays without position. There is no edge to soften, no boundary to cross. Any remaining sense of effort dissolves. Even the idea of effort no longer organizes. The body continues without commentary. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, even. Regulation holds itself steady. Identity remains quiet. I am safe even while identity rests. Nothing needs to be held together right now. The nervous system rests inside this pattern. No deviation. No urgency. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. With it, the descent deepens without notice. There is no reference point to return to. No direction required. Only continuation without demand. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, steady. Physiological quiet maintains itself, unchanged. There is no recognition of a deeper stage being reached. Nothing announces a shift. The system simply continues as it is. Awareness no longer differentiates between states. There is no comparison. No sense of moving from one level to another. Breath continues without emphasis. In, barely present. Out, long, even, unchanged. That extended release sustains autonomic balance without reinforcement. Internal sensation feels distant and unified. No single signal rises above another. Everything blends into low-demand continuity. Thought does not organize into content. There is no storyline forming. Fragments pass without coherence. The sense of self becomes thinner. Not questioned, just less defined. Identity rests safely without needing to engage. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. With it, the nervous system settles even deeper into automatic regulation. Muscle tone remains evenly low. No part prepares. No part resists. Support remains unquestioned. Awareness stays present without location. There is no inside or outside distinction being tracked. Boundaries lose relevance. Sound no longer carries structure. Words arrive as soft vibration, then fade before meaning appears. Breath continues. In, faint, unremarkable. Out, long, smooth. Carbon balance and pressure regulation remain stable without fluctuation. Thought attempts do not complete. They fall apart before language forms. Cognitive activity loses momentum entirely. The body no longer signals readiness or alert. There is nothing waiting to happen. Nothing expected. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, internal monitoring drops beneath notice. Awareness does not track this drop. It does not follow. It simply remains diffuse and quiet. Internal sensation has no edges now. No separation into areas. Everything exists as a single, low-intensity field. The sense of time dissolves further. No before. No after. Only continuation without markers. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even. That steadiness maintains deep physiological quiet. Identity remains softened and uninvolved. There is no role to maintain. No internal narrative to sustain. Thought does not return to claim experience. There is no ownership. Only passing activity without attachment. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. With it, the descent continues without recognition. The nervous system remains exactly as it is. Stable. Unchanged. No adjustment forms. Awareness stays without reference. There is no direction to return to. No anchor needed. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, steady. Physiological regulation holds itself quietly. Nothing concludes. Nothing advances. The system remains in uninterrupted rest. There is no recognition that anything is deepening. No signal suggests a change. The system remains exactly where it is. Awareness does not collect. It does not narrow or expand. It stays evenly diffused, without preference. Breath continues without emphasis. In, barely present. Out, long, even, unchanged. That rhythm sustains itself without guidance. Internal sensation remains fully blended. No boundary forms. Nothing separates enough to be noticed. Thought does not organize. There is no structure for it to follow. Fragments fail to become content. The body holds no preparatory tone. No readiness remains. Support is assumed without awareness. Breath passes again. Out, extended, steady. With it, physiological balance maintains itself. Awareness does not orient. There is no sense of position. No internal direction forms. Sound arrives without shape. Words do not assemble into meaning. They fade before being registered. Breath continues. In, faint, barely registered. Out, long, smooth. Carbon balance supports sustained autonomic rest. Internal timing has no sequence now. No before. No after. Moments do not line up. Thought attempts dissolve on arrival. Nothing completes. Nothing needs completion. The nervous system does not anticipate input. There is nothing expected. Nothing to respond to. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, monitoring drops beneath notice. Awareness remains without center. There is no location to return to. Identity rests safely without needing an anchor. Internal sensation arrives without edges. Everything blends into a single field. Nothing stands apart. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even. That steadiness maintains deep physiological quiet. The body remains settled. No adjustment forms. No signal interrupts. Thought does not appear. Even absence goes unnoticed. Breath passes again. Out, extended, familiar. The system remains as it is. Nothing advances. Nothing concludes. Continuation holds without reference. Awareness does not track this. There is no need to. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, steady. Physiological regulation remains stable, unchanged. There is no signal that anything is ending. Nothing indicates a shift away from this state. The system continues without reference. Awareness does not move toward or away from anything. It remains evenly diffused. No center forms. Breath continues as a quiet constant. In, barely present. Out, long, even, unchanged. That extended release sustains regulation without reinforcement. Internal sensation remains blended. No edge sharpens. Nothing separates enough to notice. Thought does not assemble. There is no structure to hold it. Fragments dissolve before content forms. The body holds no readiness. No impulse waits. Support remains unquestioned. Breath passes again. Out is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than extended, steady. With it, autonomic balance remains stable. Awareness does not orient. There is no sense of position. No internal direction appears. Sound arrives without clarity. Words fade before meaning assembles. They pass without being held. Breath continues. In, faint, barely registered. Out, long, smooth. Carbon balance supports uninterrupted parasympathetic rest. Internal timing does not organize. No before. No after. Only continuation without markers. Thought does not return to claim attention. There is no ownership. Nothing requires recognition. The nervous system remains disengaged from monitoring. No alert remains in reserve. Nothing is anticipated. Breath passes again. Out, extended, unchanged. With it, even subtle checking dissolves. Awareness stays without location. There is nowhere to return to. Identity rests safely without needing an anchor. Internal sensation arrives as a single field. No separation into parts. Everything blends. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, even. That steadiness maintains deep physiological quiet. The body remains settled. No adjustment appears. No signal interrupts. Thought does not arise. Language stays absent. Even absence remains unnoticed. Breath passes again. Out is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than extended, familiar. The system remains exactly as it is. Nothing advances. Nothing concludes. Continuation holds without reference. Awareness does not follow this. It does not need to. Breath continues. In, faint. Out, long, steady. Physiological regulation maintains itself, stable and unchanged. There is no recognition of a final phase. Nothing signals completion. The system remains exactly as it is. Stable. Unchanged. Without monitoring. Breath continues without emphasis. In, barely present. Out, long, even, unchanged. That extension remains the same. No adjustment forms. Heart rhythm stays distant. Intervals do not separate. Muscle tone remains low and neutral. No readiness returns. Another breath cycle completes itself. Out, extended, unchanged. Awareness does not orient. There is no direction to return to. Identity rests safely without needing reference. Internal sensation arrives without boundary. Everything blends. Nothing separates enough to be noticed. The body holds no preparatory tone. No signal waits. Support remains unquestioned. Breath continues. In, faint, barely registered. Out, long, even, sustaining regulation. That rhythm persists without awareness. Without guidance. Thought does not appear. Even the absence of thought goes unnoticed. Awareness does not gather. It does not thin further. There is no sense of position. No internal direction. Another breath passes. Out, extended, familiar. Physiological regulation maintains itself. No variation forms. Nothing advances. Nothing concludes. The system remains in uninterrupted rest. Breath continues. In, barely there. Out, long, steady. There is no sequence of moments. No before. No after. Only continuation.